Hi, I'm Natalie and this is James, and welcome aboard our floating home, Zephyr. Over the past 5 years, we've been on an incredible journey sailing around the world, accompanied by our two trusty dog crew members, Flint and Kira. Join us every Friday for a new video documenting our adventures. Don't forget to subscribe and be part of the journey.
Alright guys, so welcome to a special episode, I would say. This is going to be a hot button topic, I'm sure. We are going to talk about hurricanes and what we're going to do if we're faced with a hurricane, right?
Yeah. So as you can see, we are still in the Bahamas and it is currently June the 20th and we are planning to stay for at least another month. And a bit.
Almost 2.
Yeah, almost 2 more months in the Bahamas, which is a hurricane area. So we've never done this before. This is our first time not running away and out of the hurricane belt, so to speak. So this will be the first time staying. Yeah. And we've had a lot of questions, mainly from our patrons, asking about what are we going to do for safety, what are some of the things that we're thinking of doing if a hurricane did end up coming to the Bahamas. So we kind of gonna delve into all of that.
Yep, it's going to be an interesting conversation.
And not one that we take lightly as either, because it is quite of it is kind of a scary thing. It's
serious business.
And
this is our home.
Yeah, we don't want to lose the home. Obviously, we don't want anything happening to us and the doggos. See, they're upset already just talking about it.
So Nat's absolutely right. This is serious business. It's a serious topic, and it's why we're dedicating an entire episode to it, because this is our home. All of our life is invested in this boat, our dogs, and each other, and we want to make sure all of that stays safe. And I mean, in the past, if you've watched our videos, you know we've run to the bottom of the Caribbean. We've been in Panama for a hurricane season. We spent 2 years up in Annapolis.
We're well away from the hurricane area, every single time. And this is the first time.
This is the first time. We're staying late. We'll probably be here well into August. And, you know, the hurricane season runs June 1st to November 30th. And you know, obviously the really serious months from the statistics are September, October, but it is definitely possible to get hurricanes June, July, August, and there have been many that have rolled through this area during that time. So, all right, so I guess before we get right into it, let's talk about what is a hurricane. What is it actually? Hurricanes or tropical cyclones or typhoons, depending on what part of the world you're in, you know, the terms are sort of interchangeable, but for the purposes, I guess, of this discussion, we're talking about Atlantic hurricanes. So these are hurricanes that either form somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico, or they come streaming across the Atlantic, building up energy from Africa, which is typically the ones that happen later in the season, and the ones that happen earlier in the season tend to form out of the Gulf from more localized storms. So typically, for a hurricane, the Atlantic hurricanes, they are going to move westward, okay? They tend to move west and then with a slight northerly trajectory, and then they often fade out into, back out into the Atlantic once they head north. And that's an interesting bit of information to know, because that all ties in with our hurricane plan and our forecasting as we move through this topic, right? So what is a hurricane and how does it actually form? So hurricanes are like giant engines that use warm, moist air as fuel. That is why they form only over warm ocean waters near the equator. The warm, moist air over the ocean rises upward from near the surface. Because this air moves up and away from the surface, there is less air left near the surface. Another way to say the same thing is that the warm air rises, causing an area of low air pressure below. Air from surrounding areas with higher air pressure pushes into the low pressure area. Then that new air becomes warm and moist and rises too. As the warm air continues to rise, the surrounding air swirls in to take its place. As the warm, moist air rises and cools off, the water in the air forms clouds. The whole system of clouds and wind spins and grows, fed by the ocean's heat and water evaporating from the surface. As the storm system rotates faster and faster, an eye forms in the center. So typically hurricanes are categorized on a scale of 1 to 5 in their intensity, and most of that is around the wind speeds. So 1 being the lowest level of a hurricane, up to a category 5 being the highest. You know, I guess what's a relevant one for us being Hurricane Dorian, which struck in 2019, and that was a category 5, and that absolutely leveled the Abacos. It's a pretty tragic event, and hopefully one that isn't repeated anytime soon.
No. So I think what we need to talk about is what do we use as forecasting for these hurricanes. The #1 website is the NOAA website, and ever since the start of June, we've been going on there and checking regularly, once a day, twice a day sometimes, to see if any little tropical depressions or little storms have popped up. And there has been already. I'm gonna put it in right now. But it really gives you a good indication of what's forming, where it's forming, which way it's going to be traveling.
And of course, neither of us are meteorologists, and this is definitely not a specialty area for us, but it is one that garners 100% of our attention every single day for morning and night, doesn't it?
Exactly. So on there you can see what's coming, what's headed your way, what the percentage is that it's going to get worse or not, or whether it's going to fade out. So we are checking that all the time. The other thing we've been checking a lot on the NOAA website is the tracks, the history of tracks from previous hurricanes, see where they've come from, what years they hit, what years were the worst, which ones were the Cat 5 ones. All of that information is there. So, and when it happened, and most of them, like James said before, seem to happen later on, like August, September. But that's not to say that this year it could come earlier, so you just never know.
Yeah, I agree. So NOAA is a great resource. Their website is chock full of information, and I think it's, you know, I wake up and that's the first website I check, and you check as well.
Yeah.
So one of the great tools that we really love in NOAA is once it has formed into a hurricane, it will actually show you the predicted path of the storm. Now, obviously, this could change at any time, but the accuracy is getting so good these days. The tools that they have to be able to predict where these hurricanes are going to go is very, very good these days. And you know, having that ability to see where it's going to track is going to help us in our preparations of the moves that we're going to make if it's going to impact us in any way, right? So that's just a feature I really wanted to highlight that I love particularly about this website. So
we also have a friend that used to work for NOAA, and obviously she still has a ton of colleagues that still work there, and she is going to be helping us through this whole process, letting us know anything that pops up. I think her friend is actually one of those people that flies into the hurricane, which is pretty crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think we've ever met anyone like that.
No.
But yeah, so she is going to keep us in the loop with everything, and we're just so grateful for that, because that's just an extra scientist that's involved and knows what they're talking about, telling us what to do, what not to do. So that will be really good. I
think that's really kind of eased our nerves a little bit, knowing that we have somebody that is so connected with that information that you know, if she says go,
then we're going.
Like there's no discussion, is there?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, she says you're okay, we're okay. But so yeah, great resource to have, 100%.
Exactly. Okay, let's move on to what our plan is, like what kind of research we've been doing.
So next up, we're going to talk about having a hurricane plan. This is a vital piece of information that you need to create so that you are prepared in the event you need to take action. And for some of you, your insurance might even require having one of these. So what is a hurricane plan, and what is ours that we put together?
Yeah. So first up, one of our very important ones, and I think a lot of people forget this, is the boat is ready to go at all times.
100%.
It's full of fuel, full of water. We've got food on board in case we just need to pick up and go. That is our number one plan, is to have the boat running and ready to go.
Yep.
Number two, we have done a lot of research on places to go to get out of the hurricane, and also researched a bunch of different hurricane holes, because you have to have plan A, plan B, plan C in case this hurricane decides to turn on you or chase you or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we've figured out there's a lot of hurricane holes in Cuba and the Dominican Republic. So there's a lot of places that you could just go in there, dash in there. Or
we also have northern hurricane holes as well. You know, we can, in a couple of days, we can put, you know, 300, 400, 500 miles between us and the Bahamas, which basically means we have sort of oriental up in that area.
North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina as a spot that we've actually got some hurricane holes marked on our navigational maps.
Contacted marinas.
Yeah.
So that is in play. Do we need to quickly dash up there and get out of the way?
Absolutely. So. And then lower down, if we weren't able to get that far for some reason, there's also Jacksonville. You can head about 17 to 20 nautical miles inland in Jacksonville, which is a good way to get away from the coast very quickly. And again, in those areas, we've got anchorages marked, we've got marinas that we could go to.
Mangroves.
Mangroves. We've also considered tidal. So some of these places, when you know, flooding is or a surge is a key issue and causes a lot of destruction. So we've taken that into consideration when we thought about where we're going to run to, so to speak.
And then I guess the main one is going to be checking forecasts, checking weather, checking to see what's going on every single day. So
yep.
That's going to be part of our daily thing now, which we do that anyway, but this will be more checking for hurricanes, which is a little bit different.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Just being more vigilant with the weather. And also being, I think one of the things that we started doing now more, you know, because we've been living and, you know, on this boat together for so long, often we do things and, you know, without having to talk to the other one, because we know what the other one's going to do with, you know, there's just this symbiotic relationship we have on the boat now where we do things without even having to ask each other. But one thing we started doing now is we started talking about the weather together more now. Over breakfast, we're talking about the weather together. It's a discussion together, as opposed to, oh, it's a 20 knots of wind today. Okay, well, we know what to do. No, yeah. There's more conversation going around, more open conversation, I think.
I think you also calm my nerves down, because I tend to get quite worried.
Yeah.
And I think it's understandable.
Absolutely.
There's, you know, you can still see the remnants of what happened in Marsh Harbour, which was where we are now.
Yeah.
And that's 5 years down the track. So, you know, I can only imagine how scary and how horrific it was. I don't want us to be caught in that, and I don't want the dogs to be in that, and I don't want our boat to be in that. So, you know, ultimately, if we didn't have a chance to get out, we would be leaving our boat. And as much as that would hurt, it's a boat. It is what it is, yeah. And we would get on a flight and get out of here, because we just wouldn't be putting ourselves in danger like that.
That's absolutely right. So that, I guess that kind of folds into our hurricane plan a little bit, which is we have spoken with people who live here locally, and you know, we asked that question: what do we do if we can't get out of here with our boat? And they've explained to us sort of how the procedure works, how they fly everybody out and get you to safety. So, you know, that's also written into our hurricane plan as well. So,
yeah, exactly.
And I mean, I think, you know, just jumping back, you're 100% right. It's a bit eerie being in a place where you're constantly being reminded that there was a really devastating hurricane that came through here, because there is still so much destruction still around.
It's eerie and it is scary.
Yeah.
And, you know, at the end of the day, all the cruisers that do stay here, which is there's quite a few, as you can see, the marina behind us is full. You know, it is good source of kind of like, it's nice to be able to talk about it, and everyone's started talking about it now, and everyone's kind of got a plan of attack for their boats, their family and stuff. So it's kind of nice to have that sense of community, which is always there with the cruiser community, but it's nice that we can talk about, you know, what could be happening, what's coming, what's not coming, you know.
You know, and you know, obviously we want to hear your feedback in the comments. It's you know, we're by no means experts in this, and a lot of you are just going to be, you know, there might be a lot of you that just think that what we're doing is crazy. We're putting unnecessary risk on us, on the boat, on our dogs, etc. But you know, the reality is we have incredible forecasting available at our fingertips now. We have a boat with sails and an engine, which enables us to put hundreds of miles between us and a storm. Often these hurricanes now, we have 5-6 days of advanced warning on where these hurricanes are going to be, how they're going to travel, the path that they're going to take. So, you know, having that information really gives us, you know, a big leg up in, you know, in staying here.
Yeah, essentially, if there's a hurricane coming, we're not going to be in the vicinity.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. If it's here, we're not, right?
Exactly. We're going to be well away from the area, and hopefully in a nice protected spot where we won't even feel a breath of wind.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So, but yeah, this is the first time we're doing it, so all recommendations or, you know, comments are super welcome. And I guess, you know, at the end of this, we'll be able to talk about how it went, whether we would do it again or whether we wouldn't. And yeah. Okay, so I guess to wrap things up, this season is meant to be a pretty hectic one in terms of hurricanes, because we've just gone from El Nino and we're starting to enter the La Nina phase. And this is meant to be one of the worst ones, because La Nina is meant to be so hot in comparison to 20 years ago El Nino, right?
Yep.
So wish us luck. we will be checking. We're not absolutely dum-dums that are just gonna sit here and think
we're not
everything's
being
fun.
reckless, no.
Yeah, when it isn't, so we will be onto it, but I think you still need a little bit of luck that none of it comes our way.
We are not going to be reckless. We've got lots of good forecasting tools at our disposal. We've got friends that are helping us out. We got a hurricane plan in place, and we're going to do our best to stay safe, keep the puppets safe, keep each other safe.
Wish us luck.
Wish us luck. And yeah, we'll see you guys all in the States once we get out of here.
Yay!
Woo!
Bye, guys. These bubbers are driving me crazy. They're driving me crazy. Because all they do is look for the turtles. And there's 2 turtles that live under our boat. 2.
If you'd like to be a part of the journey and become a patron, go to the link you see here on the screen. Another way you can support us is by hitting that subscribe button.